what it's stating here, if anybody can see it, it's identifying the bones and what I just described. Now you got to remember, in the military, everything has a serial number. So the life raft had a serial number. Okay? The life jacket did. The holster did. So they knew who he was. Okay? And this whole fiasco is an example of how, if you follow the book to the letter, you can mess stuff up in a big way. And this is the biggest mess there ever was. Okay, so the bones. Okay, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we are. Okay, and they use this bone to positively identify who he was. Now, this is in the days before DNA. So the doctor had an anthropological formula. And what this formula said was that you measure this bone here, and you can tell the height and the age of this person. Well, that didn't work too good. Because this is the report. And what this report is saying is that the estimated age is 26 to 33. Michael was 24. So that was one X. Okay? It also said that he was between 65.2 and 71.5 inches. He was 72 inches, off by a half inch. With that information there, that doctor said, well, that can't be Michael Flashy, it's somebody else. And that's where it all went south. Okay? Now, I'll tell you right now, I have short legs, okay? I have a longer torso. If my legs matched my torso, I'd be 6'2" probably. But if you measure this bone on me, I was going to be tall. I'm sorry, I got short legs. I'm built for maneuverability. Okay. Anyhow. Okay. So, like I say, what this did here, it just blew him out of the water. Okay, and this right here is also when he went from being Michael Flashy, okay, to being X26. Didn't even have a name. It's X26. And they took the bones and they put them over here. They took the life raft and life vest and everything else, put it in a box and put it on a shelf somewhere. Okay. Okay, this is a report here that is the official one that says that Michael is now going to be X26. And they talk about this at a meeting, and they want to make sure that it really is a body not recovered and believed to be, and get it disassociated with them. So at that time, okay, here he is, Michael Joseph Flashy, first lieutenant, and now he is X26. It was there, it's been redacted. Okay, now, like I say, these are the actual documents from the military, because after the war and the Freedom of Information Act came in, we were able to get this stuff. They did it, not me. Okay, on April 26, 1984, Caspar Weinberger, under President Reagan, selected X26 as the unknown. You notice here, there are 4 X designations, just like there were 4 coffins, were sergeant number. And as best I can tell, Caspar Weinberger just said, okay, X26, no ceremony at all. When they got the one from Korea, they brought him home on a Navy ship. There were 4 coffins there. And they took a radio man who was of the age that they thought those remains would be. And this young man was asked to select a coffin, and he did. And what they did with the other 3 coffins, now, you folks, this may sound harsh, but they were buried at sea. Okay? And the burial at sea is a great honor. Okay? It's done with great emotion and respect. Retired naval personnel will actually request that they get buried, that they get a burial at sea, and the ships will come in and they'll take them out and they do the whole ceremony. So the other 3 were put in the ocean. Okay, now this one here, this is where they want to confirm that Michael Blashy cannot be found. There's 2 guys they talked about, and one of them is Stephen Gravestock. Stephen Gravestock was in Michael's class at the academy. And they found Stephen's remains, they identified him, and he's buried at the Air Force Academy Cemetery. But Michael is still designated BNR, body not recovered. The body's not recovered because he's sitting on the shelf in Hawaii, okay, with his stuff on the other side of the room. Okay, but again, this is the document, and it's signed off by the officers and the mortuary specialist. So they got their documents in a row until they get to this one. And Pat Blashy calls this the smoking gun. So what this document is saying is that any documents that were with the remains, okay, that say it's Michael Blashy, okay, that needs to go into Michael Blashy's folder of BNR, body not recovered. Okay? And the reason for that is they don't want to be able to say that those bones belong to him because the unknown has to be unknown. But this is the way they got rid of it. They put all the paperwork to Michael's name and now totally separated him from humanity. This part of always gets me today. But that's what happened. Now, what happened here in 1994, Ted Sample, remember him, Green Beret? He was one of the founders of Rolling Thunder. That's why the Rolling Thunder presentation is in with this. Ted was a activist, and he lived in Kinston, North Carolina for a while. He's buried in North Carolina, over in the east somewhere. But he was an activist, and he was a pain in the neck. I mean, he was lobbying everybody and saying, we've got boys left behind, they're there, and nobody was listening. Well, there was a book called A Missing Plane, which I'll show you in a moment, by Susan Sheehan. And in that book, they're talking about a different pilot. Okay? And they're talking about going to Russia and finding him. But there were like 3 pages about Michael. Okay? They talked about what kind of plane it was, where it was shot down, when it was shot down, and his name. And that's when Ted, okay, got the idea that, hey, we know who's buried in the tomb, okay, because he connected that with some other paperwork. So this is the book, A Missing Plane, and another good read. Okay? And anyhow, with that, there were multiple documents with Michael's name on them. And Mom and Dad were not told that Michael was indeed found and eventually made into X-26. Nobody wanted to admit that. Okay? And he was put in the tomb of the unknown. And Ted Sampley and a CBS reporter, Vince Gonzalez, pretty famous guy, you probably heard of him. But they convinced the Blashy family to give them permission to go and find anything they can about Michael. And that was done, and that's how they got all this other documents in here. And the CBS National News was messaging, "The trail leads to the tomb. We want to bring Michael home. We want to know the truth." That was their cover story. How many had heard that? Talking about, quite a few years back now, 1997. Now, the reason you didn't hear it, you've got to realize there's cameras and there's newspaper people all around the Blashy house because they know what's going on. Right then, that day, was when a young lady was testifying about Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. And Lewinsky and Clinton just took over the news. That's why you never heard this story on the news. So if you want to learn news, go to YouTube. You can get some news there that's real. Okay, on May 7th, 1998, permission was given to disinter the tomb. Okay, and on May 13th, that's when President Clinton said, "Yeah, let's do it." Okay, so they went in and they took Michael out of there, not knowing who it was, because he's still unknown. But if you notice, the color guard carrying the casket, there's multiple services there because, again, they don't know who that person really is. Pat Blashy, she wanted to be there, okay, because she was tired of all the cover-ups and she didn't trust anybody. But she wasn't allowed to be there because she was told she wasn't a family member. The reason they said that was they still didn't prove who it was. Okay. So a month and a half later, June 30th, Secretary Cohen called Mrs. Blashy and said, "Yes, it's Michael." Okay, so with that, Michael had been in the tomb for 14 years. Okay, he received the Medal of Honor just like all the other soldiers, or sailors, whatever they were. Okay, and Pat was really livid over this. She considered leaving the Air Force, but she stuck it through. And she retired as a colonel. But going from there, the tomb of the unknown. Okay, and right here we have the Vietnam. Okay, there would never be another unknown because of DNA testing. Okay, and everybody that goes in the military right now gets a DNA test. It's on file. Okay, and Secretary Cohen had an inscription put on this cover plate. It says, "Honoring and keeping faith with America's missing servicemen, 1958 to 75, which would be Vietnam." Okay, and that's it. So Ted Sampley and Vince Gonzalez were the two that were credited with actually finding and putting everything together with the help of all the other documents. And I say, you guys, if you hadn't been to watch the changing of the guard here, I'm telling you, I've seen it no less than 10 times. And it is just fantastic. But now, this is a picture that I took. Okay, that's Michael's life raft, his life vest, his holster, a bunch of other identification there. And I touched this stuff, it's real. And this is the craziest part of this story. I asked Pat how she acquired this stuff, and she said it was inside Michael's coffin. It was buried with the 6 bones. And that leads us to conspiracy theories. Okay? One being someone had a guilty conscience and put Michael's stuff in with him. The other is somebody was trying to hide Michael's stuff and figured they put it where it would never be found, so they put it in the car. So, there it is. I said the second greatest story ever told. So, if you want to see this presentation done by Pat, go to YouTube, and you can just go on there and search in YouTube for Vietnam Michael Blashy or Vietnam Unknown. And this one right here, this is hers, and her presentation is an hour long. But it doesn't really start till 10 minutes into the presentation. Okay, so I'm just skipping it real quick. But that's it. Okay? And I hope you all were as interested in it as I was, because I'm going to do this again and again and again.